So this is what my coach had me do on like the first week of working with him, and that same week I fired 6 agents on one day. Wow. I was like, okay, all right. So we're gonna just take some basic math on commissions. So we're gonna do 10 grand. So I just want you guys to know where I'm coming from and how I got from where I was to where I am today. Let's just say your average commission's 10 grand. For those of you that run teams, what would you say the average split is in North America if you're running a traditional team?
50-50.
50-50, that's pretty much what I see. So we're gonna go $5,000 to the buyer's agent. $5,000 to the company, right? Everybody see that? Buyer's agent, company. So you're starting out running the operation with 5,000. What do you think the average operating expense is if you're running a good-sized team that does at least 100 units? How much?
30%.
30%? I typically see 35, but let's go 30. So if you are, let's say this is the agent, so they're just going to keep that. That doesn't go anywhere. Agent keeps 5. You're going to minus $3,000, right? And you're making $2,000 a sale. But hey, you didn't show the door, you didn't deal with the client issues. Like, you're just like, I'm making $2 grand by you working for me.
Your math isn't right.
What's that?
Is that
It's
30%?
3. Is it 3?
Yep.
It should be 15%, 1,500?
Nope, because it's off the top. Yeah. That's part of the problem, right? That's part of our problem. It's like, we're taking it off the top. All right, so you're making 2,000. When I do this example, I'm normally at 1,500, but so we're gonna make it better for the team owner. That's a pretty good business. So if you get out of production, stop doing real estate, like now I want the whole team to do it, and you do 100 units, 200 grand, right? Everyone see the math there? We do 100 units, you're out of production, you're gonna make 2 grand. So I always thought, and you can put that down for a little bit so you don't get tired. How dumb I was like, my coach is like, so when you sell a home or your team sells a home, what is it? Is it 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4? I'm like, it's 2 to 1. It's 5 grand to me, 5 grand to them. He's like, nope, it's not 2 to 1. Because if you were to go sell your own home, how much are you gonna make?
8,000.
You're gonna make 7,000.
Yeah.
So 2, 4, 6, it's 3.5 to 1.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not 2 to 1. I didn't see that. So now I'm understanding that if an agent on my team sells 35, I just have to sell 10 to get the same amount of money. But now I gotta still go sell them and I gotta do all that and I don't wanna be in production. Well, what happens, and I'm gonna show you through some math, what happens if you get your expenses down to about 10% because you stop paying for buyer's agents, you stop lead genning for them, you start running offices, you get rid of your director of ops. Now you're at 10% expense. So now you're making 9K a sale because you get this down to 10%. Now how many is it? 2, 4, 6, 8, it's 4.5 to 1. So now if you have a team selling, I like the math when it was 5 to 1 because that's easier for my brain. So if it was 5 to 1 and you're doing 300 sales, what is that, 60? Is that math right? So if your team's doing 300 and your expenses are now, it's a 5 to 1 ratio. You make as much per sale as your team would for 5 of them. So you're like, no, I only got to go sell 60 to do what a 300 unit team is out there, right? Does all of this make sense? Like, this was not clear to me until I had a coach just break it down on a piece of paper and just say, that's okay. Like, just understand, you can put that down. Thank you. And then what he had me do is say, Dave, you're not running a real estate team. Think of yourself as a grocery store owner. You have a bunch of grocery stores. And now what we're going to do, we're going to put all of your expenses in the Dave Z grocery store that are just for you. What do you do? What do you need to run your business? And then we're going to segregate your expenses for your team. And we're going to put them in all these different buckets. And what I found was I had to fire 5 agents who were costing me money. Like, my grocery store was subsidizing their grocery store. And that's what I've seen. I've run about 110 agents through this model. And what we've seen is almost without fail, most of their grocery stores are costing them money. But it's hard to see because you have one bank account. All the commissions come into one account, and we're not really sure what's going on. So is this clear? Any questions on this? Like, we all agree with this? If you're running real estate, just know When you're handing out a deal to a buyer's agent that you could do yourself, you're giving up 3.5. You got to go 3. That's worth 3.5 to yours. All right, that's all I wanted. That's good. Thank you. Give her a round of applause. All that trouble for that. That really did change my life because it really helped me understand I'm not getting what I thought I was getting, and I'm losing the relationship. So that's kind of where Leverage Agent came out. So,
can I ask you 2 questions real fast?
Yes, please.
So why do you think the number one reason is that agents try and just sell as many homes as possible by themselves? Because they get to keep all the money.
Yeah.
Right. So to oversimplify it, if an agent sells their own home, like they do all the work, they get to keep all the money. You build a team, like Dave said, just to simplify a little bit of the math for those that I'm just kind of simplifying for those that aren't in real estate. It's like if you have to have someone else sell the home for you, which is the ultimate form of leverage, now as a business owner you're only getting half, but you're really not only getting half, you're getting less than that, right? And so what most real estate agents do is they just stay a solo agent, and it's why they can never scale out of it.
Yeah.
So what Dave is about to go through, because I know a few of you were like, what's that math look like in a real estate world? Dave's basically going to go, how can I still keep the full commission myself without having to share it?
And actually have it be easier than managing buyer's agents.
Yeah.
A lot easier. I get a lot more time back. So this is kind of my talk, how to net $1 million in real estate without leaving your office, without having to run a large team. Or you could also say how to go on 22 vacations in a year and still sell homes. Either one. Like I put a home in escrow yesterday. Sign call, buyer I've never seen, home I've never been into. Because I've got some listing agents in the valley who don't like to go show their own listings. I'm like, shoot, send them to me, I'll pay you a 25% referral fee. So now I've got sign calls that we take on for teams that just don't want to do it. So I remember Memorial Day, I think it was like 2011. And gosh, when we talk about real estate, if you go back to Phoenix in 2011, I had an agent kind of complaining about commissions, like, oh, we have a referral fee and I got to split it with you and I'm only making like $4,500. I actually sent her my 2011 production out of MLS. It was like 62 homes that I sold by myself, and my average commission was like $3,400. I think our price per square foot was in the 30s, right? It was nothing. You were selling 3,000 square foot homes for like $108,000 in Phoenix. I was like, well, that's what my life used to look like. So you had to sell a lot of houses to make a lot of money. And so it's Memorial Day, and that was like one of my favorite holidays because I'm one of 7, and now I have 5 kids. I don't have 12, I have 5. It feels like 12. And I've got all, like my brothers are at our house. We're actually at my in-laws. They had a big acreage property. We just had a ton of fun. This is not us. But at that time, I was doing a lot of short sale listings. I think I had like 32 listings on the market. And I didn't have a team, and I get a sign call. And what are the odds of like 32 listings? And my in-laws live like 35 minutes from us. Well, that sign was like a block over. I'm like, sweet. I'll go make a little extra cash, and nobody needs to know about it. So I'm like drying off, getting out of the pool. My wife's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm just going to go show a house real quick. 5 hours later, I come back. I showed him like 7 houses. And I missed Memorial Day, but like at $3,000 a sale, like I had to sell a lot of houses. So it really ruined one of my best days. Like I love Memorial Day. It was just, it was like a Christmas for me. I only got to see all my brothers like a couple times a year like that. So it sucked. So that's what I look like. My wife's like, go sell this house. So how many have been there in real estate? Am I the only one? Yep, we've all been there. And so that's where I started a team. I'm like, man, I'm busy. I got all this going. I started a team. And I always think you should meet your speaker so you don't have to look me up. Now, none of these numbers will really blow you away. Okay, I'm 19 years in real estate. I did 4 new home sales. I've only sold 1,400 homes, right? I've got friends that do that in a year. So no one's gonna be like, oh man, I met a guy who sold 1,400 homes. Not a lot, but I've just kind of been that slow and steady. 2021 is when I made this big shift. So that's on the lower left. That is an ISA, a transaction coordinator, a salaried showing partner, an agent, me, a showing partner, a part-time agent, my admin, and an agent. Then I had 2 other part-timers. So that team there did 132 units for 1.478 in GCI. Now, I was selling maybe 30 homes, and that's really what my income was. And when I audit team leaders' P&L, like 99% of the time, their personal production is going to mirror their income. That's usually what I see. Sometimes, more times than not, it's a slight dip. Like the teammate, you did 400,000 personally, but after your team, you're going to net 360 or something. There's usually a loss on the team category, right? So that's usually what we see. So that was a pretty productive unit because we had only 3 agents close those 132 because we had some showing partners in there. But we were paying salaries, a lot of time, and then it's just the time involvement, like sitting down, and if you want to attract good quality people, you've got to spend time with them. So that's my family there, my wife Julia, and we travel a lot. We take a lot of vacations, and I'm going to show you how you can do this. So I went from that to what I look like down there. I've got four VAs and an army of agents that show homes for me. I got about 1,500 agents in the valley that show houses for me, and so they can do it on demand. 1 TC that I pay per file, and I do have 1 good agent because we don't have to talk to each other. We don't do meetings. She'll sell maybe 40 homes this year. We just leave each other alone. It's a good relationship. That's what I wanted. It was just like, and I told her, I'm getting rid of everybody. Do you want to stay and just run your own business, and we'll just do our thing. So it gives me the freedom I want. So it's kind of like the Back to the Future. We just made this dip, and here's what's cool. I only lost 59,000 of GCI from that 1.478 million and got rid of all of those people. So what I found is the consumer wants to transact very different than the way I think most realtors think they want to transact. And I think if you're in different industries, that's what I would tell you is, do we really know how our consumer wants to transact, or do we have our own way of doing things? That's what I would challenge anybody. So I've got so many success stories. This is a buddy of mine. He had a 14-agent team. He implemented it, did 106 sales, took 20 vacations. I think he told me he made 300 grand more. Pretty awesome. I'm not going to play these, but I've got these YouTube videos. I'll tell you, these 2 guys, their testimonies just blow me away. They're young men. They're in their late 20s, early in their real estate careers. One was on a team. He was on a team, and he's now 1.5 years into running my program. He has 13 in escrow. 13 homes in escrow. Doesn't leave his office. Has had 1 baby. His wife and I had 1 baby. They're pregnant with their second. He just left me a voice memo yesterday, like how, dude, now that I have so much in escrow, I'm like the best negotiator. He's like, I don't care. He's like, I don't care. He's like, we're staying firm at that. And he got it. Like when you're financially independent, you'll be like, this is where we're going to stay. So you become a better agent. The other agent sold 44 homes with 3 buyer's agents. He did almost 80 units by himself last year. And we met for a cigar near the end of the year, and we run Profit First. If you haven't read that book, it's a game changer. So he set up his little profit accounts, and it was cool. He was like, oh, Dave, they think I'm old because I'm 46, so they're 20, so they're like, Mr. Z, dude, I bought a cold plunge with my profit account. I'm like, dude, that's amazing. That's $4 grand. And then I'm a watch guy, so I was in Cabo. He's like, hey, what do you think of this watch? It's 12 grand. I'm going to buy it out of my profit account. When we met for a cigar, he's like, I want you to see what I bought with my profit account. Wrote a check for 118 grand to buy a Corvette convertible. I'm like, this dude's 27 years old, out of his profit account. So, and now he's like, he's pacing to do about 150 units this year.
How many homes did he show?
None.
How many homes did he go on a listing appointment for?
None. Now he goes to listing appointments the way I do, to go buy them, to go buy the houses. So I like to go to listings if I think I can purchase the house. So we can talk about that. So we're still doing real estate, right? These are the kind of the 5 steps. I got to get a little bit closer without glasses. So when I walk people through this process, I'm like, these are the 5 things I want you to, this is the roadmap. This is what I want you to understand. I want you to understand how to generate leads with leverage. I don't do open houses. I don't cold call or door knock. I want leads coming in through leverage. I then want to convert the leads with leverage. I have systems. So I don't care what business you're in. How can you get leads into your system and then have good automation that right, what's your company?
Girls while you sleep.
Yeah, so there's some automation in there to help incubate people so you don't have to do it, so you can travel, right? You can travel and have people basically book appointments. Then you would want to do your buyer and listing presentation virtual. All of my appointments start on a virtual meeting. And guess what, guys? Sellers and buyers want to do that. Now, with this NAR lawsuit, things are definitely changing. We don't know how it'll change. But I'll tell you, I do virtual buyer consults, but 99% of the time we just let people go see houses. We don't ask, we don't pre-qualify them. I take all the friction out of the process. So the buyer we put into escrow, they just said, we want to go see this house. Great, when do you want to go see it? 20 minutes? It's a little tight. What about an hour? And we got them out there in an hour. We didn't ask if they're pre-qualified. And so I was an internet lead marketer. That's how I got started in real estate. And if you do keyword searches to see the volume of keywords being inputted by consumers, sellers want listing agents. They Google listing agents. They Google for the experts. Guess what buyers Google? Houses. They want houses. And then we're like, well, are you pre-qualified? Will you come into the office? Like, send me your driver's license. Like, we make it so difficult for buyers because we want to protect our time. Like, well, if I drive, first I got to get dressed. I got to put my makeup on. I don't wear makeup, but like, people have to get ready. And so if you're just like, this is a threat. Instead of it being this amazing opportunity to go make some business, you get to this point where you're like, oh, this is a threat. I don't want to leave. Like, I don't want to stop what I'm doing. Like, can you do it tomorrow at 4? Consumers like, I don't want to do it tomorrow at 4. So the reason Redfin and Zillow especially have won is because they've just made it easy. Book a call, get connected to an agent, go see a house. So we do that. And then we have a rule. After 5 showings, if they haven't met with me, we cut them off. But I'm willing to buy 5 showings for somebody. And I just find I fall in the way of transactions because they're like, well, you've been easy to work with. Yep. Then we do our consult virtually. Then this is where I would say is very different, and probably the only reason Justin would have me speak is we all have VAs, we're all doing leverage. What I have done is in step 4, I have somebody else transact the house. People I do not know go out and do all of the showings, the inspections, and that costs me on average about 3% of the commission. About $500 to get a buyer fully transacted and never hearing the word no. Can I go see this house tomorrow? Yep. Can I go see it Super Bowl Sunday? For sure. What about Christmas Day? Done. Like, you will get people in, no problem. So not being part of the transaction has now allowed me to work anywhere, right? Sign call came in yesterday. We got them out same day to see the house. We wrote the offer. My time on task on that was about 25 minutes. Step 5, my client communication, this is really the secret sauce. My VAs act as me in my CRM. So once the lead is in the CRM and we coach them on what to do, we have videos like how to work with us, how to click on buttons to show houses. And when they say, hey, Dave, I want to see this house at 3, Dave says, no problem. Is this the only other home you want to see or any other one? So we've trained our VAs to impersonate us, to me, in my CRM. That's probably the biggest lever that I have with them. So client communication is going on nonstop. They're sending out houses. What do you think of this house? You want to go see this one? You want to go see this one tomorrow? And so they're sending out homes proactively. They're responding as me. And then when they get stuck, they just send me a Slack or an instant message like, we don't know what to say here. And then it's really easy for me just to shoot a video because I hate typing. I'll just do an audio or a video to say, we just tell them this. Tell them I'm in a meeting. And if they can't get a hold of me, they look at my calendar. They'll just say, hey, I'm in a meeting right now, but I'm going to get back to you as soon as I can. So there's no ghosting, and I'm out. I don't even know what's going on in the transaction, just like I didn't know with buyer's agents. So this kind of seems silly, but one day I was thinking about this. Like, what if Bezos, because I use both of them, right? I've got a Tesla. I do Amazon all the time. I'm like, what if they ran their businesses the way we do it in real estate? And the analogy would be a driver for Amazon's like, Jeff, you're gone this weekend on a yacht. You're living it up. I will deliver the packages for you, but I get 50%, you get 50%. It's like a buyer's agent. That would have cost him $12 billion, and that's basically what he made last year. So I did the math, how many employees they have, how many deliveries they do, If he would have cut the revenue that way, he would have made no money. But he has a distribution system that's priced appropriately for him to keep the lion's share of it. And that's what I would challenge you to do. If you're a realtor, this doesn't have to be either or. This could be and both. So I'm working with one of the largest teams out there, like hundreds of closings per month. Can we just get you selling 200 and let your team sell the other 1,800? Don't have to fire your team. I fired my team because I didn't want relationships. I wanted them with my kids, with all the other agents. I love recruiting agents, so I've got a lot of agents that I coach and help, but I didn't want that daily responsibility of a team, right? I wanted it on my terms. So, Mike, you told me you just did one in Denver. Yep. Was it horrible for your buyer?
No, it worked out well.
So to get a guy like...
Sitting in Nashville doing that transaction at the last conference this year.
And I think that buyer is way better off with a guy like Mike transacting it, right? Lots of experience, lots of knowledge. Somebody who's not going to, is one commission away from bankruptcy, and so he's got to tell the buyer to do something. We got to close on this. I think it's going to put more transactions in the right people's hands. So, disclaimer: there's 50 ways to do it. So this is just a little bit different. But here's what I'll say: it's about massive freedom. It's about being where you want to be, and just making a lot more money. So it's time and money for me. I put this picture up here because we go to Maine. I'm out in Arizona where it gets to be like 160 in the summer and things die, and I just can't be there. So we go to Maine every summer. This was us in October, actually. So we decided to go up there on our kids' fall break, and we're up in Harpswell. There's like 3 islands that just like these little fingers. So we're on the most eastern side. That's the ocean there. That's where I get to wake up, and it's just amazing. And I get to transact and do real estate, not check in with my team members. And this picture, what I love about this picture with me and my kids, they're eating those lollipops, is about 5 minutes before that, I made a call to a buyer, and it went like this: "Hey, Kellen, congrats, man. I just saw that we closed escrow. I'm so proud of you guys, and I'm really happy that I got a chance to work with you. There is a lockbox on your home. The code is this. When you're ready, house is yours. Get your keys. And then when you're settled, unpacked, I want to come by and see the house. I want to meet you guys." And zero weird call. Now, I Zoomed, but I never saw him in person. And he's like, "Oh, Dave," and I've got a recording of the call if anybody wants it. He's like, "Dave, that was so great. I mean, we've done 5 transactions, 5 home purchases. That was the best. Your team was always responsive. It was so great to work with you. And yeah, we would love to meet you." And he was relocating his family. And if you know the Valley, most of you probably don't, but he started in a city called Casa Grande with 1 agent. They looked at 4 houses. Then they drove about 45 minutes to another town, looked at about 5 houses with another agent. Then they drove about another 40 minutes to another town, looked at like 5 houses with another agent. Called it quits because that was a busy day. Next day they met on the far west side of Phoenix because they were price shopping. They were super price sensitive and they didn't care where they were moving. But imagine doing that as a buyer's agent. So then he looks at 5 or 6 houses on the West Valley, then goes all the way to where they ended up buying out on the far, far East Valley. And so I think we had 5 different realtors in 2 days show him all of these houses. And 21 total homes that he looked at. I think it cost me like $1,000. It was like double what I was supposed to spend. But he had a great experience. And then when he was like, "Hey, the family's going to fly in town. Can we go see it tomorrow?" "Yep, go see it tomorrow." My strength when people hire me, as we go through this NAR lawsuit change, is I'm really good at negotiating. I like to win. I hate to lose. Like I can be a sore loser. So I want to win, and I want to win on the negotiations. I want to serve my clients. So we came in. So this was not that long ago, a couple months ago, right? Or October, 5 months ago. We had an appraisal waiver because we came in so low. We got all of the repairs covered. Like I'm just like hey, if you want this sold, like this is where it's got to be. I want to be tough and firm. So he won on what mattered, and he got to see a home whenever he wanted to see it. And I kept all the commission. And here's what I found out when you grow a team and you hand over leads. It's great up until you either fire that agent or you let him go. And the agent I cut took 300 plus sales with her. All of the transactions, all of the referrals, all of the relationships. I traded it for pennies. I was like, well, that sucks. That was 9 years of me giving somebody a really good livelihood. They're like, great, I'm gonna take all these clients. Yeah. Damn. That really hit me hard because nobody had ever left my team that actually did produce. That agent that I asked to leave sold 51 homes the year prior. You would think you would want to keep an agent like that around, 51 deals. Financially, it didn't make sense. Yeah. All right. The other thing, and we're going to speed up. We're going to move along, but is this resonating? Is there anybody here like this is resonating? You're feeling this? Okay.
I just have a random question.
Yeah.
I heard someone ask, who's showing the homes for you? Because you say that
we're like 2 slides away from that. We're building some suspense.
Someone's like, where they get 1,500 people show homes for them?
Yeah.
Robot from yesterday.
Yeah.
Dave, we're good on time.
Yeah, you're
so
good.
Take your time.
All right, cool. This is really what did it for me. Like my coach gave me some of those things that you were talking about, but I think when we're in these rooms, we're thinking everybody is like, has got all their shit together. And it's like, well, I just want to be like that person because I know they've got it together. Till you really get to these intimate settings where they're like, man, I made 4% last year. Like, huh? What? So I started having these conversations with these intimate masterminds. So I was part of a great group. I learned so much from them. I have so much respect for everybody that was in that group. It was a $20,000 a year mastermind. You had to have a minimum production. And after 3 years of doing that, we calculated what I had spent. That was travel. It was like this. We would come together for 5 nights, and they were all very bougie, which works because I'm bougie. So we would just be dropping a lot of money on all of our events, like staying in great places. And it wasn't till the last year that we sat in a horseshoe with like 40 of us, and our P&Ls were projected on the screens. And I felt terrible for people. I hate to say that, but I was just like this. I had no idea. I had no idea what was actually happening. And that's when I was like, I'm out. If this is what growing a team is, I'm out. So I won't give away any, raw numbers, but I can just tell you people were doing $8-9 million of commission, and their tax returns were 200 something net income. And that wasn't crazy write-offs. That was just what they were keeping. We had people who were able to segregate their P&Ls. Because here was the purpose of this mastermind. How do we make more money, guys? Wait a minute, we're selling like 2,400 homes a year, 1,800 homes a year, 900 homes a year, and we're asking how to make more money? And it was a brainstorming on, do we get title companies and what other verticals can we integrate? It was, let's start charging a $5.95 transaction fee. If we do that for 2,000 sales, like we were really grasping at straws instead of like just looking at our core business. Because as you start scaling these big real estate companies, you're inevitably going to shrink down your profitability to a very low number. Very low number. And then you're like, why am I doing this? I could have just sold 22 houses and made more money. So egos get involved, right? When I dipped from 150 sales down to 80 sales, don't you think my title rep was like, what's going on? Is life okay? You doing okay? Because we don't post net income in this business. This business celebrates volume, units. Title companies, lenders, they just want units. Like Zillow should just post your tax return. Yeah. Like instead of saying like, oh, you sold this many homes last year. So we don't post tax returns. And once I started to see P&Ls, and it was, hey, we as a husband and wife did $550,000 and our team cost us $76,000. We did this, we did, and so everybody's like, are we gonna keep doing this? But it's really hard for big teams to let that go. So that's where I started coaching some of them on, they don't have to know what's going on. We're gonna keep this going, but let's get your net income up by you selling homes without disrupting your life. Keep running the team, and let's show you how to do this without you leaving the office. So that's what we're gonna get into. So the problem in real estate, if you do it the old-fashioned way, you got to be gone a lot to make a lot of money. So this is what I would propose. If you can get your time back without expensive hires, tons of training, lots of conversion on leads. I track everything very, very tightly. I use a company called Sisu. I know the funnel on every single person from when the lead is given to calls, to dials, to appointment set, to met, to submitting offers, to closing. So we know every stage of the funnel. And that way we can coach. We're like, this is where you're leaking. Like this part of the process is where you're leaking. What I found is when you have really badass team leaders and operators, their conversion's usually about quadruple. It's about quadruple. Minimum double. So if I get in the database and we both get in there, I'm going to convert at least 2 to 1. So we have a Zillow Flex account. So I have some hybrid things, right? I've got a large downline of agents in Phoenix that work my Zillow Flex. I'm 16% on Zillow Flex. Our team is at 9. So that's, I know, and if you add that up over a lot of sales, that if I get 16% of them to close, you only get 9, how many more leads do I have to buy to support my team? It's a lot. I have to buy a lot more because they're not doing as much. So let me click on this here. So this I broke down so we can do some numbers. Probably going to be really hard to see. This is what my P&L looked like at 75 units. So we're going to get in this. I know I'm kind of getting ahead of it, but I want you to, this was 23. So I dipped from 100 down to 76. I spent, so there's a company, and I'll show you what that company is called, Xiaomi. Anybody heard of Xiaomi? Anybody using it on a regular basis? Yeah, I called the owner, Matt. I'm like, you changed my life. We now text a lot. Cost me $32,000 to show houses. My transaction coordinator, I pay per file, and I'm going to kind of get into this. That cost me $17,000. My CRM, my bolt-on technology, GGMS, Fellow, all of this. My additional operating expenses, my VAs came in around 49 grand. That was $1,087,500 of commission. My cost of sale was $32,000 not to have to leave the office. My net operating expenses were 11.3%. My company cap, $16,000. My E&O was $500. Now I got all of that back, but I'm not going to put that in here. So net income is $915, kept 84% of the commission. Now, if we compare that to the MREA model, if you're going to do between $800,000 and $1.2 million, your net's going to be 39 to 42%. That's you crushing it. That's Gary Keller going, congratulations, like you achieved it. Because look at the cost of sale. $350,000. So what Gary would teach, now I know he's writing a new book that's coming out soon, so I'm curious to see what he's pivoting to. But this for a year was what we were taught. Cost of sale was $350,000. So that's ideally you're selling $500,000, and then the team's doing $700,000. They keep $350,000, you keep $350,000. So your gross profit's $850,000. There's your expenses. Because you got to support all this. You're going to make $506,000. And I think I know it's harder because that's what I was running. Any questions on that? We're getting real granular on some of these, so yes.
I have a question. It's kind of in the weeds, but you mentioned you pay your transaction coordinator per file.
Yeah.
Why not just have an in-house TC that's salaried?
It's a really good question because for me, can we all agree this is a variable business? Just because I sold 130 homes last year, does that guarantee 130 this year? And what if I want to take 2 months off? So if I have a variable income, I want variable expenses. I don't have an office anymore.
17? Is that the number?
$225 a file.
Yeah, but how much is that total for your year?
$16,875 for a TC.
I'd like to know what quality of TC you get hired full-time at 16 grand.
Not good.
Well, so to that point, right now I have an in-house TC that's a VA. So it probably costs somewhere around, I mean, I don't know if I broke it down, maybe a little more. But, I mean, to his point, we don't always have months that make sense.
Doesn't make sense. Now, here's what's cool. I've leveraged her out. And we're about, if I can get her to film some process videos for me, I love her to death. She writes my offers. She calls my clients. She does my listing paperwork. Not just a TC, but the 120 agents that partnered with me in Phoenix, they use her as well. She'll do 60 closings a month. Right? So she's making good money. So I've been able to scale her. If she just worked for me, what's she going to do? So we share her with a lot of people. She just needs more leverage. She will be getting more leverage. So having a variable business, I highly recommend having variable expenses. That's allowed me to just say, hey, I'm going to pause. And I definitely took a cut this year, but I really got into wealth building this year, more so than I've ever done. And I added 16 doors and brought in about $180,000 of passive income on rental properties. So I like to go to listing appointments to buy houses. But that's like before flying out here, I was almost late to the plane because I was walking a property that I'm getting ready for a pad split. So I've been able to shift to wealth building. That's recruiting 78 agents last year. And that is buying properties and still selling some houses. So to me now, selling houses is to just get me enough capital to reinvest to wealth building. If I can repeat last year 4 more times, get up to like 900 grand of passive income, I'm okay. Maybe I can step out of real estate. So I think you could compress time with this. And don't make it about volume, but it's like, how quickly can I get to that number? I sit down with Scott, be like, what do I need to get out of this? 9 million, 8 million? How soon can we get there? I don't know a faster path. Like, there's some team leaders out there making $1 million a year. They're just very few and far between. There's some of them doing it. I think it's very hard to get to that. So, how many people have read the book 10X is Easier Than 2X? Isn't that a great book? Yeah. Holy cow. So you start thinking about that. Like, if you're selling 20 homes right now and you got to go sell 40, you're like, that's a lot more work. But if you're like, if I go sell 200, what needs to change? What can I not do anymore? And what I found was if I stopped actually doing real estate, my clients were happy and I was going to make a lot more money. So I think we've been outsourcing things wrong. Like our leverage has been in the wrong spots. So I would say the traditional team is putting 80% of their leverage in the wrong spots. All right, how do we show houses? So if you have never used Showami, you can take a picture of this. If you sign up through me, I get $10. 10 USDs that I can spend anywhere. No restrictions. I would love the $10. I actually do like to get those just so Matt and I can keep talking about this because I think he's changing. He's got 130,000 agents on this platform. So I'm always curious how many people sign up. The $10 is cool too. So step one, I would say stop going to properties 90% of the time. That's the thing is when you hear somebody talk on anything, just what can you take from it? Doesn't mean you have to duplicate it. I've gone all in on this. I've got buddies that just use it here or there. But what you're going to see is I transitioned to not every once in a while, but it was like every single time I meet with the buyer, I will never show a home, and I get their permission, and I sell it in a very good way. I sell it to their benefit because it is their benefit. So I don't say maybe, sometimes. I think that's where people get in trouble. So I just say this is how it's going to be. I changed that last night, so sorry. So this is still step one. You're going to add staff members on demand. I've had as many as eight buyers working with 8 Showami agents on a Saturday. How do I do that normally? Like I couldn't even do that when I had a salaried showing partner. So you can really scale. They're licensed realtors. Think of them as Uber drivers. You need about an hour notice, and they'll go show a house. $39. No cost if you aren't busy or you want to take a cruise. And you're just like my wife and I, we leave to Rome for our 20th anniversary on Wednesday. I don't want to do any work. I could, but I just don't want to. So now I'm not having to pay a TC, and I'm not having to pay a buyer's agent. I'm not having to pay anybody. Everybody's out. I got to pay my VAs. It's a pretty low cost, right? I couldn't do this without VAs. So step 2, VAs. And again, where I use it is they're communicating as me. Step 3, our picture isn't loading here, Joel, but anyways, it's a funny old man on an old telephone. There he is. If that's you, you're going to be in trouble. Like, I don't use my personal number on anything. It all goes through my CRM, so my VAs can respond as me. She's not my niece, but she calls me Uncle Dave because I've known her since she was a baby. She is my sister-in-law's brother's daughter, right? So I'm Uncle Dave. She texted me on my personal cell phone, hey, Uncle Dave, I want to buy my first house. Cool, awesome. Let's do a Zoom. We do a Zoom. This is the phone number we're going to use for real estate. And she's just always kept it on that number. So my VAs are texting my niece-ish. And it's fine. And she doesn't know it. And it's fine. I think it's great. She's getting great service. Step 4, you need a robust CRM, or else this doesn't work that well. Retargeting tools. I use GDMS just to retarget. Step 5, this is where we talked about it already. I really am a firm believer in it. Now, for my buddies that sell 50 homes a month, pay an in-house person, no problem. Step 6, have a really, really good digital virtual buyer and seller consultation. So when people sit through my consult, I walk through what it's going to look like, what the expectations are. We watch a 2-minute video on how to schedule homes on my website. I have them actually do it. I'm like, go ahead and book one. And what's amazing, they'll just do it. Without calling you, you'll just see a booking. I'd like to see this house at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Awesome. And then the VAs know where to run with that.
You share those consultations with us?
Sure, yeah, for sure. So a ton of videos, right?
And just say, and then when they book the home, would they also book the Show-Me agent?
So then the VA steps in and says, hey, I see you want to see this house at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Are there any more? Yeah, I'm booking 5 more. Cool. Text us when you've booked the last one. Then they take those 6. Then they book the order with Show-Me. And then we come back and say, hey, this is who's going to show it to you. And I'm actually going to give you a case study. It would be helpful if I gave you a case study of what an actual transaction looks like. Cool. Step 7, you just need more leads and more time calling them instead of running around. This is where this fails. And I've had people be very honest, and I love it. They're like, I hate being on the phone, and I love being out in houses. Then this may not work for you. Like, I totally get it. Because I got into real estate 20 years ago, and I didn't do it to become an ISA, which is what I am. I'm my own ISA. I didn't do it to get a 1% conversion on leads and 99% tell me to go pound sand. Like, that's not why I did it. But this is where I'm at, right? I got into real estate because I was like, I love houses. I want to flip houses. You know, I had 3 rental properties by 26. I was like, I want to get into real estate. So I had rental homes before I got into real estate. So it can be soul crushing if you don't like that activity. And I've had agents like, I would just rather go sit in an open house. Totally get it. Fine, when you're sitting in an open house, why don't you have Show-Me show you some buyers? Like, to be 2 places at once. There is a picture of a really old, there it goes. So this is kind of the phrase I tell myself or any agents I'm coaching, just stay at the cash register. This is why we have the ups and downs. So I do like Starbucks, so imagine, like, think of Starbucks. I now mobile order, and I just go in and grab it, and I'm not looking for a barista. A barista is just a necessary evil. Like, I have to use a barista, but I'm not there for the barista. I'm there for the coffee. And the barista delivers that experience. That's kind of what I've become to people. They're not there for me, they're there for the house, and I'm making it very easy for them. So if I walked into a Starbucks and there was one person there, it would be a miserable experience. There's a long line, it's one person, they're doing everything. So my analogy is like, you just stay at the cash register, you just keep taking orders, let somebody else pull the shot, let somebody else call out the name. When we're out of ice, let them go get it, and you just stay at your core competency of where you make money. Call people, book appointments, follow up with people, just get new business. So if you track your conversion rates, like in my cycle, if I book an appointment, 32% of the times that closes escrow. So I'm like, okay, so 1 appointment a day is like 90 some closings. If I can just get 1 new, so that's my job each day. Can I get 1 appointment set today? And so stay at the cash register. Get an ISA. So I've had ISAs, I've had 4 of them. They just don't convert as well. But if you're okay scaling that and you have appointment setters, I think all you should do are consultations and negotiations. That's it. Let somebody book you appointments. You just show up like the dentist for a root canal. So these are, can we agree if you're in real estate, these are the 5 things you have to do? You got to generate leads, you got to convert them, you got to consult, you have to transact, and then you want to convert them into past clients. Like, there's a lot that goes on in between, but is there anything else that somebody can think of that we have to do? So I have a 6-week course that I've taken a lot of people through where I go through all of these things. First one is like the math, the mindset that you guys are kind of seeing, and then I spend about an hour and a half on each of these, what I call the 5 foundations. How do I generate? How do I convert? How do I do the consult? So that's something I have taken agents through. Like, this is my world. This is how I do it. If you can just get down to number 3, you make a lot of money. Like, all I do is number 3. Everybody else does all these things around me. Systems, people, dialers, referral companies, right? I work with HomeLight, I work with Zillow. They're doing my generation for me. Then my system does the conversion. If I just do the consultation, what you'll find is, at least when we did an audit, you'll be at about $3,000 an hour in your business. So Mike was like, Dave, how do you get out of production? What did I say? I was like, what else would I do for $3,000 an hour? I don't know why I would get out of production. I mean, maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. But if I can make $3,000 an hour, why would I not do that a couple hours a week, 10 hours a week? All right, case study. Let's do it. I'm sorry this is a small screen, so if you can't see it, I'll just narrate it through. I'm going to be pretty quick, all right? Questions, comments, concerns? Yeah.
How do you plan on pivoting, or how does that showing company going to pivot with the new rules?
Yeah, I think,
do you have any idea?
I think this is my leg up on the competition, right? Now, the logistics I don't know, right? I'm waiting for the advisory board on Zillow to see how they're going to do it, because clearly, if the new rules go into force, we have to have a buyer broker signed before we go out there. So we got to figure that out. And I don't know if we have to name the agents, but I think we'll figure it out. I know Matt's a pretty smart guy.
Whatever it is, you're still going to play by the same rules as
Same
everybody
rules.
else is. So.
Right. And so if you want my take on this whole thing, how much we get paid does not change. How we get paid will change. That's my opinion. You're either going to write me a check, it's going to get paid through concessions, but if I had to go to Vegas, how much I get paid, I think it's going to go up.
Because negotiating, it gives you more room to
Yeah.
play. It gives you
I'm
more
just
room
thinking
to
more
play.
on like the legal side of that
Exactly.
part.
Yeah. I know. So I've taught this to people in California. They're like, well, there's a form we have to sign in California that we actually went to the property. I'm like, oh, there is? I didn't know that. So there are different rules. If you're in California, anyone here from California in real estate?
But I had some people use Shawami after watching one of your webinars.
Is there a form you have to sign that says you've physically seen the property?
So it's a visual, agent visual inspection at the very end.
Is it you or can it be somebody else?
You can have somebody else do it for you.
Okay, there you go. So an agent was like, took my course, like, it won't work for me. I have to see the property. Like, all right, I don't know that. Like, full disclosure, I don't operate in California. But to your point, we'll figure it out. But I think I'll be able to make more money because now that buyers have to start interviewing, it's going to matter who they work with. Before, it didn't matter, right? And now with me, you get $500 million of real estate negotiated plus on-demand showings. I'm not pawning you off to a buyer's agent. All of my competitors, they pawn you off to agents that sell 4 homes a year. Is that who you want to work with? Not with me. You're getting me. And like I've done $200,000 deals because I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. Where in the past I didn't really like that. There was 2 stretches in my career where I didn't even touch a buyer because I was keeping 40 listings. I'm like, I ain't touching a buyer.
Your model upsets a lot of people. The concept of the ego, and
Massive.
I do everything, and I'm the best at everything.
Massive.
One thing that I learned is that if I died tomorrow, people are still going to buy and sell houses as if I never existed. Yeah.
That's a good realization, isn't
I'm just
it?
a pebble I'm not changing the stream. I'm just a pebble in there. So I'm trying to figure out how do I go with the stream.
Yes.
Everything we're doing with our team right now, all of our pivoting is all about like, again, how do I set with the crowd holding the pitchforks? I don't want to be defending.
Yeah, you're on their side. I'm with.
So how do we go with the stream? And this, I don't think I'm going to adopt the entire thing. Maybe because there's still some ego in me, maybe. But I definitely can see
Take some of it.
hybridizing this.
Yeah, like
It gives you a lot more reach too, because you can work hours away from your home, like your office.
Yep.
Last week I put two in escrow, and they were each 3 hours away from my house.
yeah.
It would have taken me an entire day to just.
You wouldn't even think about working that market.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even think about it.
So it just opens up all that
Yep.
other opportunity.
And I don't think this is for somebody who should go expand into markets they don't know. Like, full disclosure, I'm not advocating to go get licensed in 50 states, because I think that's a disservice to the consumer.
Sure.
But I had somebody reach out to me because they were moving from the Carolinas, and they're like, how do I still work in the Carolinas? Like, they were really stressed out about it. I'm like, how many homes have you sold? All this. Like, he is a good expert for those consumers in the Carolinas, and he had to relocate to Phoenix. I'm like, he's like, so I got to give that up. I'm like, I'm not going to give that up. You're going to keep selling there because your core competency, why you're being hired, is for your mind, your negotiations, your expertise, not to open the door. So he was able to, his wife was, so the reason we got involved was the CEO of a company we're friends, and he was like, would you talk to this guy? We really want to hire his wife, but he's got a big real estate company in North Carolina. And he's like, and I kind of know what you do. So his wife was able to take the job because he felt confident he could relocate to Arizona and keep his business running, and he is. So that's what we can do. But I don't think I should open up an office in New York. I don't know New York. It would be a disservice. All right, so here's an internet lead that came in. I did this webinar in January. This one had closed like couple of days prior. Lead came in March 23. One thing you'll notice is, okay, so we talked for 8 minutes, right? He had a ton of friction, right? You ever get on a call, you're like, this guy, like, why are you moving to this area? What's got you thinking? What did you like about that house? Didn't want to talk. So I was like, that's cool. I read the room. So he's like, I just want to see this property, please. And so by the time the call ended at 11:07, Kathy's going to meet you at Navarro. Here's her number.